No more jokes. No more laughs.
Sounds like you've got a case of the grumps.
I fucking hate clowns.
Hey there, folks. What's up? All good? Today we're diving headfirst into the universe of one of the most iconic and, honestly, one of the most underrated anti-heroes in comics. Let me ask you something. When you think about a character who made a deal with the devil, gained insane powers, and wears a living symbiotic suit, who comes to mind? Venom? Ghost Rider? Well, today we're talking about the original, the guy who took the concept of badass in the 90s to a whole new level, Spawn. Buckle up, because we're going to dissect the anatomy of this hell soldier like you've never seen before. We'll uncover his darkest and most bizarre secrets, and I promise, your jaw will drop. Stick with me until the end, because we're going to discover together just how deep the well of Spawn's power goes. Let's start from the beginning, but in a different way. Forget the story you've heard before. I want you to imagine this. Your entire body, every cell, every muscle fiber, replaced with a living substance, an infernal matter called necroplasm. That's what happened to Al Simmons. He's no longer human. His body, now weighing over 400 pounds of pure infernal matter, is essentially a reanimated and possessed corpse. But that's not even the creepiest part. What really runs the show is a neurological parasite called K7 letha. Think of it as an infernal and much more complex version of the Venom symbiote. This parasite, which manifests as Spawn's iconic suit, with its living red cape and chains, has established a permanent symbiotic relationship with what remains of Al Simmons' nervous system. The K7 letha feeds on the necroplasm that makes up Spawn's body and, in exchange, grants him control over this infernal matter. It's a bizarre trade-off. The suit consumes Spawn's vital energy, but it's this same relationship that gives him his powers. Each time he uses a magical ability, such as teleporting or healing a serious injury, he's actually spending a finite energy counter. If this counter reaches 0, his soul belongs forever to the demon Malebolgia, and he returns to hell. This creates a constant and brilliant tension in the narrative. Spawn can't just go around using his powers like Superman. He needs to be strategic, calculating, because each act of power brings him closer to his eternal damnation. That's why, often, he prefers to use firearms and his hand-to-hand combat skills, which he retained from his life as an elite soldier. It's a constant struggle between unlimited power and imminent damnation. To understand how he became this being of necroplasm and the weight of his existence, we need to go back in time to Al Simmons' life. Before becoming what we know, Al was a highly decorated lieutenant colonel of the United States Marine Corps Force Recon, a Central Intelligence Agency agent, and an elite assassin. This means he's not just a super-powered monster, he's a brilliant strategist, a master of hand-to-hand combat, and a firearms expert. He became a national hero by saving the American president from an assassination attempt. But, as life likes to play tricks, he was betrayed and killed by his own boss, Jason Wynn, for beginning to question morally dubious missions. For his sins as an assassin, Al was sent straight to the 8th Circle of Hell, one of the most brutal domains under the command of the powerful demon Malebolgia, one of the supreme lords of hell, responsible for creating and sending hellspawns to Earth. There, he made a pact with Malebolgia, his soul in exchange for one last chance to see his beloved wife, Wanda Blake. What he didn't know was that he would return as a hellspawn, an infernal soldier with a symbiotic suit, in service to Malebolgia to lead the forces of hell in Armageddon. But, like any good demonic pact, it came with a price. 5 years had passed on Earth, and Wanda was married to his best friend, Terry Fitzgerald, and had a daughter, Cyan. That's brutal, isn't it? Al's pain, who was sterile in life, seeing Wanda with a daughter that wasn't his, was a devastating blow. During this period of confusion and torment, he was tormented by the Violator, an ancient demon and one of the most sadistic in hell, sent to divert him to the path of evil and ensure his loyalty. Living in the alleys of New York, in Rat City, Spawn found a new family among the homeless, which is bizarre considering his nature. It was there that he met crucial figures like Boots, who later would be revealed as the angel Bella-Zical, and Cogliostro. Cogliostro, a character shrouded in mystery, turned out to be Cain, the first murderer in history and, believe it or not, the first Spawn. He still resisted thanks to a tiny dose of necroplasm. It was with the help of this retired Spawn that Al Simmons learned to control his infernal powers. He faced and defeated the Spawn hunter Angela, who later became his ally, transcending their initial rivalry. Besides Angela, Spawn had to deal with other envoys from heaven, like the Redeemer, the anti-Spawn, who, like him, was a human chosen and imbued with celestial power to combat hellspawns. But perhaps his worst enemy was Mammon, one of the forgotten angels who didn't take sides in the war between God and Lucifer. Mammon, however, allied himself with hell and planned to usurp heaven's throne, discovering that God was no longer there and intended to remake the universe in his own image. That's sinister, because it shows that Spawn's threats come from all sides, not just from Hell, but also from a complex network of celestial and demonic intrigues. Events culminated in the mega saga Armageddon, which redefined many aspects of Spawn's universe. It was discovered that Kate and Jake, Wanda's twins, were actually God and Satan, transformed into babies by their mother, a cosmic entity that created this and other universes and gave them to her children to shape. She hoped that, surrounded by family love, they would give up their endless fight. This mother manifested in various forms on Earth, including the Lord of Miracles and even Jesus Christ. With apocalyptic events devastating Earth, zombies, rivers of blood, plagues, and the Four Horsemen, humanity was almost extinct. The mother then guided Simmons, fusing to him the souls of all who had died on Earth at that moment, which explains Hell's difficulty in controlling him so that he could prevent Armageddon. Cyan, Wanda, and Terry's daughter also had a crucial role, with her perception of the supernatural. When Spawn faced the 12 disciples in the Garden of Eden, it was Cyan who instructed him to spare Judas, revealing that he had not betrayed Jesus, but was his accomplice, so that Christ's message would make sense. Judas, thinking Spawn was an enemy, killed him, but the mother intervened, giving Spawn the fruit of the tree of life, which not only resurrected him, but granted him the powers of a god. With this power, Spawn destroyed the armies of heaven and hell, sealing their gates so they would no longer interfere on Earth. This is, without a doubt, the pinnacle of his power and a feat that places him above any other character in terms of scale. It's a journey of redemption and ascension to power that, in my opinion, is one of the most epic in comics. Continuing our journey through Spawn's bizarre anatomy, it's crucial to understand that he isn't just a being of flesh and blood, or, in this case, necroplasm. He's a fusion of infernal matter and a tormented human soul, which gives him a resilience and adaptability that few characters can match. His body, with over 400 pounds of pure necroplasm, isn't just heavy. It's a malleable mass that can adapt to almost any damage. Imagine being shot, stabbed, blown up, or even burned by hellfire, and simply reforming. That's Spawn's routine. His regenerative capacity is so absurd that he can heal from injuries that would be fatal to any other being, including decapitation. Yes, you heard right. He can sprout a new head. However, this regeneration isn't free. It consumes his precious necroplasm, which forces him to be strategic. That's why, in moments of energy conservation, he can improvise, like when he used a shoelace to stitch his face after an attack from Batman. Impressive, isn't it? This is proof that, even with divine powers, Simmons' cunning and adaptability are still present. And, honestly, I find that much more interesting than a hero who simply can't be hurt. Spawn's strategic vulnerability adds a layer of depth that makes him, in my opinion, one of the best constructed characters in this aspect. Additionally, the malleability of his body and the ability to manipulate necroplasm allows Spawn to change his physical form for various purposes, such as disguise, imitation of other people, or to become a mass of tentacles and spikes in combat. He can also conjure objects or weapons from hell energy, creating everything from energy projectiles to more complex objects. In certain phases of his power, he even demonstrated the ability to summon lesser creatures from hell to assist him. Besides strength and regeneration, Spawn's speed is another aspect that deserves highlight. Although he's not a speedster in the traditional sense, like the Flash, his teleportation ability makes him incredibly fast and unpredictable in combat. He can decompose and travel at the speed of light, appearing and disappearing in the blink of an eye. This isn't just useful for locomotion, it's a devastating combat tactic that confuses and disorients his enemies. Imagine fighting someone who can be anywhere at any time. It's a tactical nightmare. Furthermore, the K7 Letha, his symbiotic suit, gives him enhanced senses and a kind of precognition, alerting him to dangers before they materialize. And we can't forget his remarkable empathy and ability to manipulate emotions. Spawn can feel others suffering at a deep level, and in some cases, even influence other people's feelings, using this as a powerful psychological weapon or a persuasion tool. This, combined with his experience as an elite soldier and assassin, transforms him into an almost perfect combat machine. He doesn't just react, he anticipates. And, seriously, this combination of powers and tactical abilities is what sets him apart from many other anti-heroes. He isn't just brute force. He's intelligence and instinct sharpened by the experience of life and death. But what really elevates Spawn to a legendary status are his extraordinary feats. He isn't just an anti-hero who fights street demons. He has confronted and defeated the most powerful entities in the universe. In one of the most iconic arcs, he not only faced, but imprisoned God and Satan in a forgotten corner of the universe, isolating them from the creation they helped shape. That's a monumental feat, isn't it? This victory placed him at a level of cosmic power, demonstrating that his strength isn't limited just to the physical or infernal plane. And, as if that wasn't enough, after Armageddon, an event that devastated the world, Spawn, in his most powerful form, was able to recreate the planet, rewriting the laws of reality on a universal scale. It's bizarre to think that a being who started as a betrayed soldier condemned to hell would reach such a level of power. He's living proof that, even in the depths of darkness, an indomitable spirit can rewrite the rules of the universe. And, in my opinion, this journey of redemption and ascension to power is what makes Spawn such a captivating character and, honestly, one of the most impressive in comics. Now, let's dive into the mental and technical capabilities of Al Simmons, the man behind Spawn. Before becoming a Hellspawn, Al Simmons was a highly decorated lieutenant colonel of the United States Marine Corps Force Recon, a Central Intelligence Agency agent, and an elite assassin. This means he isn't just a super-powered monster. He's a brilliant strategist, a master of hand-to-hand combat, and a firearms expert. He retained all these skills after his transformation and uses them constantly to compensate for the expenditure of necroplasm. He's a born tactician, capable of quickly analyzing a situation and finding the best approach, whether it's using his powers in a devastating way or relying on his more mundane combat skills. This duality between supernatural power and military discipline is what makes him so dangerous and unpredictable. He can be an unstoppable demon or a lethal elite shooter, depending on the need. And, seriously, this combination of mind and muscle is what makes him such a formidable adversary for anyone who crosses his path. It's proof that human experience, even after death, can be a weapon as potent as any infernal power. To finish, let's talk about Spawn's immortality and what it really means. He possesses multiple types of immortality, which makes him almost impossible to be permanently destroyed. He can regenerate from practically any injury, and even if his body is completely annihilated, he can reform. The only way to really stop him, in certain contexts, would be with high-level celestial or magical weapons, and even then, his healing capacity can eventually overcome these damages. However, his main vulnerability is the depletion of necroplasm, which would send him back to hell, and prolonged exposure to certain sacred energies or attacks from divine entities can drain his power or significantly weaken him. He is, in essence, a being who transcends death, a herald of damnation that cannot be stopped. But this immortality isn't a blessing, it's a curse. He's trapped in an eternal existence, fighting against the forces of heaven and hell, and carrying the weight of his lost soul. It's a lonely and brutal existence, but one he embraces in his quest for justice and redemption. And, in my opinion, this moral and existential complexity is what makes Spawn such a fascinating character. He isn't just a hero, he's a symbol of the eternal struggle between good and evil, life and death, hope and despair. What's your opinion on Spawn's immortality? Do you think it's a blessing or a curse? Leave your comment below and let's continue this discussion. And if you like this deep dive into Spawn's universe, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to not miss any content. See you next time, folks.